Alright, in this video I'm going to teach you how to drag for catfish in a boat. Now the first thing you need is an actual boat. You could try dragging from the bank, but the leader line is so long on these rigs, it makes it almost impossible to cast it out really far. When you're fishing from the bank, you need a leader line that's like, that long. So you get less twirl and more distance. Now with this, you have to start out with a dragging weight. This is a Dirty South dragging weight. This is the 4-ounce variety, and this helps keep the bait up off the bottom. You're moving when you're dragging, so this is touching the bottom, and there's a little bit of air in the top, and it should keep it off of whatever. So if my fist here is a rock, it will bump over the rock and not get caught. Now there are other types of dragging weights that are actually slinkies, and they will keep it like right on the bottom. And if that's the type of dragging weight you want to use or you already use, go for it. I would suggest giving these a try or something similar. And I've noticed the longer the better. I've had shorter ones in the past and they'd get hung up a lot. I get hung up less with these, but you still get hung up with them. Now, it doesn't matter if you're a spinning rod or a bait caster. I use line counter bait casters so I can see how far out I am. My main line is 30-pound monofilament. You can do it with braid. I just use monofilament because it's cheaper, and 30-pound monofilament will reel in a 100-pound fish easily. And then you can have, there's a multitude of like swivels that you can use. This one happens to have a 3-way on it. You could use a normal swivel and just clip it on. I was using sinker slides in the past because the ones I was using, the dragging weights, had just an eye on it, and I could put that into the sinker slide. But this one has a sinker slide in the top, and you just put it into the loop. What I use on everything with my big fish rigs is 80-pound monofilament, and you can see it's really long, and some people use even longer ones. They have it about this long, then they have like a chain swivel that's like that long, and then they have it way to the back. Now you do need something to help float the bait up. When it's moving, this little bitty float will move the bait up off the bottom. You can use a balloon if you wanted to, blow it up really small and tie a balloon on here and have that as the only thing on here. On this particular rig, I have a rattle. This is about the only time that I think rattles would actually work, if they actually work, because you're moving around. And it causes the rattle to rattle and attract the fish. I do have beads separating it. And then I have an 8/0 Team Catfish double action circle hook. I think the Bait Boss, or not Bait Boss, what is it? Boss Cat has the exact same hooks now too. These are getting more rare, and they're getting, taken over by the Boss Cat hooks. I think they're all Daiichi. They're all from Daiichi, just rebranded Daiichi. It's long shank circle hook. Eye points towards the end, longer shank, straight eye. That eye helps create a trigger action whenever the fish grabs it. And I just got it snelled on there. That's probably a straw snell. And then I just put, kind of a bigger piece of bait. You can do whatever you want. I've used anywhere from small baits to big baits on here. Small baits seem to work better because this has a large profile as is, so you just put a small piece of bait on there and you can still catch, a 100-pounder with this. And these seem to do good with catching both small and big fish. If you're drifting, I've noticed like drifting, you get a lot of small fish. Anchor fishing is the big fish. You have to wait for them. And then with this, I've caught both small and big fish. Now there's always exceptions to the rule. I've seen small fish caught anchor fishing. I've seen monsters caught while drifting. But in general, that's the way I look at it, the way, the things that I've seen myself. Now I'm going to put a bait on here. I'm going to get it out there and show you, how this works in the water. Now I'm a little limited on bait today, so I'm going to use small pieces. And as you can see, I've got it hooked to where the hook is exposed really well. This does not scare the fish away from the bait, the hook point. You want as much of the hook point exposed as possible. If you use the giant baits and want to only use giant baits, I would suggest a 10-aught hook, just so you can have more hook in the bait and more hook tip exposed. Now I am going to cast this to show you how badly it casts. And I want to make sure my line counter is reset. And I'll just put this one out the back. I just cast it like 60 feet, which is where I want to put a planer board. Now you don't have to use planer boards. I just like using them because they help me hear if a fish bites, especially with this cone one. This is a stern planer board, by the way. It's for the back of the boat. It's made by Church Tackle Company. And I do the same with the side planer board, so I put it out 60 feet to the planer board, and then I go about another 60 feet to between the planer board and the boat. So 120 feet on my thing total. I gotta get moving to actually do this. And on my trolling motor, I got this N feature, north feature or whatever. It keeps the trolling motor pulling the boat in the same direction. And for speed, I go 0.6, 0.7 miles per hour. This is warmer water. I could probably go faster than that if I wanted to. But in general, 0.6, 0.7 miles per hour seems to be the ticket. Now while that's actually pulling out, I'm going to get bait for these other two. You can see this one. I just got a float. Nothing special on this one. All right, I'm going to keep that at 110 feet. This is a really wide cove, but eventually it does narrow down. The more narrow, the less line I like to have out. Another small piece. Getting a little wind and waves from other boats. Bird's nest. Alright, these planer boards are meant to pull the bait away from the boat to the side. Of course, if I would put it on the correct side, that would help. Good job, me. Goes in the water like that. I'll let it go out to 100 feet. And I'll lock it down and it will pull it to the side. You can see planer boards. They have two clips. One stays on the line. I put the line and just on there. And you don't want to wrap it around. You want it to be able to go through that. And then you got the clip. It's supposed to pop out of the clip whenever a catfish bites it or any other fish. I've actually caught big striped bass with these exact same rigs. And I think it was probably on this one. Striped bass really don't care what's on your line. They just want fresh bait. letting that one get too far. I had another small piece of bait. Just to expand on the striped bass comment. This is yet another way to catch them in an area that has a bunch of them. I may have to, oh, I didn't reset my line counter. Well, I just use it as is. But yeah, you can use this technique for striped bass. Most people use it for catfish. Or pulling live bait for striped bass. It's not dragging when you're doing that because you don't have a weight on. You basically free line the live bait and do about the same thing. Go 60 out and then another 60 out or less. I'm going to reel this one in. I am going really fast. I'm at 0.8 right now, so I'm going to slow down, try to make this curve, and hopefully catch a catfish. Be nice to do a how-to video and actually catch the target fish at the same time. There should be fish here, but you never know. And if you don't have a line counter, you can just let it go to where your back one is, and then just lock it down. That's probably 60 feet or 50 or whatever. But wish me luck. Uh-oh. Is it going to pop? Usually they pop. And this one's not popping. Come on. Get my remote. I think I said earlier that they usually don't snag, but they do. I mean, every now and then they snag. Sometimes they pop. This one is not popping. Haven't had a bite yet either. You have to be around catfish to actually catch catfish. There may not be any catfish in this large cove. Now, I did fail to mention where I'm fishing. This is just a kind of a backwater creek, cove, whatever. And it's anywhere between 10 and 20 feet deep. I have dragged in like 4 foot of water and caught fish. I've also dragged in 50 foot of water. The deeper water would require more line out. But all I can do in this situation is reel these up and then try to get on the other side of the snag and see if it will pop. If it doesn't pop, then I have to break the line. I do have plenty of rigs ready to rock and roll just in case I have to break it. And you can see, staying on there. If it stays on there like this, it makes it easier to take off and then deal with the fish or the line or whatever. But you do have to be careful. If you try to take one of these off while fighting a fish, you might end up with slack line. And slack line on a circle hook can cause the hook to pop, and then you don't have a fish. Yeah, don't see any nibbles. They will nibble on it, especially little ones or minnows or whatever. They'll follow it and just peck at it, and you can see it. And I don't even see that, so there may not even be bait back here. And when there's no bait, there's not going to be any fish. The wind is also blowing in the wrong direction. It's blowing out the cove, I'd want to have the wind blowing into the cove because it's pushing the algae and the bait into the cove. And that's when the catfish, bass, whatever will follow them. There's also a ton of pleasure boaters here that have been passing me up, which doesn't help. But if I have to, I will try moving just to catch a fish for this video. And if I don't catch a fish at the new spot, I'm going to try again next weekend or something. This may end up being a multi-week video. There we go. Getting to the other side, popped it out. And I have no bait. I just get these back out and hope for the best. What the heck's going on here? Huh. I was about to reel up to get out of here and try a different lake. And there's been a catfish on this the entire time. Told you you could catch little ones. Huh. Poor guy. No idea how long he's been on there. Little bitty blue. Huh. Well, at least I'm not skunked. I've seen this happen before while dragging too. You get these little guys, they're so small that you can't tell they're on the line. So they just get hooked and go for a long, long swim. Cool. That'd be a nice sandwich right there. I'm gonna let him go. He might become a 100-pounder if he survives. He seems like he's really tired. I'm going to try to actually revive him and see if he'll swim away. Yeah. He swam away. I'm going to consider that a win. I know it's a small catfish. Like I said earlier, the wind is probably blowing the wrong way. We're in a kind of in the middle like of a frontal system. It's not the best time to fish. I do have a day job, so the only times I really get to fish are on the weekends. And if it's not a good time to fish, I'm going to fish anyway. And even try to create a video for you guys. At least I know where not to take my clients next weekend. I am a fishing guide. I've got a website, tnrvg.com. That's the Tennessee River Valley Fishing Guide Service. I used to be called Fishing with Billy, and before that I used to be called Panfish. So I've changed my name a couple of times, but I still like to fish no matter what name I'm using. Just don't call me late for dinner. Now I'm going to reel up these two real quick to see if they have any passengers, and then I'll go ahead and close the video. It is a little bit hot, and like I said, this wind, this might be causing the fish not to bite. I haven't heard of anybody else catching anything today, and I know a couple of people out on the water. This splinter board's easy to take off. Not feeling anything on this one. I don't think there's anything on this one either. See if I can reel this in without it popping. A lot easier to get off. Well, I at least wanted this to be just a how-to video, just to show, you know, how to drag for catfish. It's really simple to do. It's something that I think is relatively new. Within the last 10 to 20 years, people picked up on being able to do this and started dragging for catfish. Now, if you've known about it longer than that, leave a comment below. I'm 100% sure this is kind of, in the grand scheme of things, a newer way to fish for catfish. And definitely leave a comment if you have anything to add to what I've done here, because I don't know everything. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on everything. I'm also a fishing guide. Fishing guides are supposed to be the professionals that are experts on everything, but I don't make that claim. I just try to make videos that are either entertainment or informative, and this is one of the more informative videos focused on dragging for catfish. And as you saw, I was successful today, although he was more of a hitchhiker than anything else. I may still try another area if I can get my buddy Clint to come out, and I might make that a whole different video. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Please hit that thumbs up to show you like this video, and to show the Google algorithm that it's worthy to drag for catfish and catch catfish. As always, I want to thank you for taking your time out of your day to actually watch this video. I really appreciate it. Now all I need to do is get out of the way of this giant boat that's heading my way, head to the ramp, and figure out what else I'm going to do today. Thanks again for watching. I hope to see you next time.